Gentlemen, start your engine!
Drivers, start your engines!
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Remember what I told all my drivers? Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engines!
And gentlemen, start your engine!
And welcome back to the Green White Checkered Podcast. It is our first podcast of the 2025 season. Decided to have Daytona kicking off this weekend. And as you can tell, if you're watching on YouTube, we have a new co-host. Shane, welcome to the Green White Checkered Podcast. Go ahead and tell a little about yourself.
What's up, guys? I'm excited to be here. Longtime NASCAR fan. Really excited to start the season. I know we're going to do a little bit of different stuff this year, but looking forward to it and can't wait till Sunday.
Yeah, like you said, we're going to try some different things on the podcast. We're going to be less of a review and more of a preview and betting podcast. It's something I wanted to do with the old podcast, and Shane and I were talking, and he was kind of wanting to do a betting podcast also, so that's what we're going to do. And, well, it's Wednesday night. We just got done with qualifying, and surprise for me, at least, Briscoe on the pole in a Toyota. I didn't see it. I was not on Toyota at all for qualifying. I even put in our show doc that basically out of the last top, 30 drivers, only two have finished in two Toyotas have finished in the top 10. So last 3 years, 30 drivers, yeah. And that was Truex and Hamlin 3 years ago. And this year we saw three drivers. You had Bell, Hamlin, and Briscoe gets the pole. So I didn't have that. I had Preece. He got up into the top 10, but yep.
Yeah, and Briscoe was ridiculously fast too. I mean, it really wasn't even close.
Yeah, that was a hell of a lap he put down. I mean, he won the round one also. Just two really good laps he put down. Anything else you saw in qualifying that kind of surprised you?
Not really. Like the first race of the year, you never know what teams have been working on in the off season, so it's the hardest thing to predict, especially. So really, nothing stood out to me, that shocked me.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that kind of got me is all the driver changes and team changes, and it's like McDowell in the 71 and all these other guys. Barry, he was in the top 10 there in the Wood Brothers, which was awesome. Just I got to get used to it. I'm not used to it at all, and it just seems like there's a lot more than usual that have changed rides.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of new crew chiefs, everything. So
yep.
There was a ton of changes over the offseason. It was kind of cool to see Martin Truex Jr. still in his Bass Pro ride, though. So that was
and locked into the race along with Jimmy Johnson. So good for those guys. Yeah, mentioning Jimmy Johnson, I think Legacy is going to be a lot quicker this year in the Toyotas now that they have some backing, and I expect to see a lot out of them.
Oh yeah. I'm excited to see him. I'm not too high on John Hunter Nemechek. I don't think you are either, but we'll see what Eric Jones does. I think that he can compete Sunday.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Just talking about Eric Jones, I kind of got a little everything on him. I got a little bit of money on the outright and top 5 and top 10. So are you going to ride any of those, or are you going to just kind of go easy on it?
Well, I love Eric Jones top 10. That's one of my favorite bets. I actually had him earlier today at plus 200 for top 10, which I think is great value. So it should be interesting to see.
Yeah. I like the top 10. I mean, it's probably one of them I'll go a little heavier on. Granted, it is Daytona, so I don't bet a lot of money on the race, but I'm going to dabble with the top 5 at plus 650 and the outright at plus 5,500. I think those are great odds to get Eric Jones into Toyota.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, he's had, I think, 5 top 10 finishes in the last 12 super speedway races. So, with us expecting him to have even more speed this year, I think that's a good bet.
Yep. Another guy that I think, is going to have a little bit of improvement, and I'm definitely going to dabble with just the outright. Zane Smith, I, you know, I think the team change, the crew chief change, I think everything's going to go his way. Last year in the Spires stuff, he got 13th in the 500. He got 13th in the, I guess, summer Daytona race. And then you go all the way back to when he was with FRM before, 13th in the 500. So I think he's got a really big improvement here. And I think I could see him at least get a top 10. But with the team that he's got with Gilliland, who's really good at plate tracks, I think I could see him possibly competing at the end.
And it's Daytona, so anybody could be there at the end competing. But do you have any of the guys who have been waiting so long to try to win a Daytona 500 as an outright?
Oh man, not really. As far as outrights, outrights at Daytona I go more long shots. So like Priest, I really liked his chances. Being in the 60 car. The RFK guys are fast. You usually see Brad up there. Busher's usually competing also, and it's just like, man, if he gets close enough and Brad and Priest somehow fall back, he's gonna go for it. I mean, it's the 500. We've seen guys not follow team orders, like Cindric went in it and stuff like that. Could Priest be the next guy to just kind of steal one away? And he was sitting at plus 5,500 before qualifying. I'm guessing it's going to go down because he was quick, but we'll have to see when the lines open back up here soon.
Let's just hope he doesn't flip 12 times this year.
Yeah. Well, they paved the back of the backstretch there, so he shouldn't get airborne. How about you? What do you got for outrights? You got anything?
I'm not very aggressive as far as outrights go. I got a lot of top three, or I got a couple top threes, and I got a top fives. I got some long shot top fives that I like, but I don't really have any outrights. I would probably say my favorite outright, regardless of odds, is Brad Keselowski, just because I think he's finally going to do it, but we'll see.
Okay. What's your long shot top fives? What do you got?
So I like Ricky Stenhouse. I mean, he's the only guy that has multiple wins at super speedways in the last 3 years, and he's gotten one in each of the last 2 years. At plus 450, I like Eric Jones top 5, like we talked about earlier. I was seeing that earlier, sitting around 650. I have Cindric and Busher both at 320. I'm not going too crazy on the odds, but those are some of my favorite ones that are over 250.
Yeah, so Cindric, I have another bet that I kind of found, and I liked it a little more than doing like a top 5 or a top 10. And it was Cindric top Ford at plus 900. I just really like the odds, and again, he could be the guy getting pushed and finish third behind, 2 Chevys or something like that. And plus 900 is great odds. And, he's quick at plate tracks. So can kind of hope there. And kind of along with that bet is Justin Haley, top Chevy at plus 2,800. He's in that 7 Spire car, and Rodney Childers is crew chief. The car's going to compete. He's going to be quick. He's got Michael McDowell as a teammate. Again, great plate racer. He's a great pusher. I could definitely see him being there at the end of the race as long as he can keep it clean and team orders go the way they should go.
Yeah, I love the Haley pick, like you said. With Rodney Childers coming over, so much experience. The 7 car what they got, I think they finished Daytona 500 last year in 4th with LaJoy, and Haley has finished top 10 multiple times at super speedways the last few years as well. So I'm a big fan of that pick.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I mentioned the odds, plus 2,800. So again, doesn't even have to be the winner. He just has to be close, and I like the odds. Man, how about top tens? You got any top tens? I know you mentioned Eric Jones.
I kind of like Allmendinger at plus
Yeah,
200.
yeah, he's intriguing to me. Algire's a little intriguing, but Allmendinger did it before, right? He did it last
Mhm.
year. He can do it again, and he seems to have speed. It looks like in qualifying, practice and qualifying, he was quick. So I like it. What's the odds on that one?
That's only at 200, so it's
200?
not crazy. Another good one I like is Riley Herbst at plus
Yep.
240. He's only raced in 5 career cup races at super speedways, and he's finished top 10 twice. So, and then being backed by 2311 and everything, I think that he could compete for a top 10 this Sunday.
So with Riley Herbst, how do you feel about him this season? Because I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not the biggest Riley Herbst fan. I did see a little bit improvement last year in Xfinity, but he's coming into a cup team that is good. I mean, 2311 is, you know, what they finished top 4 championship with Reddick last year. I'm intrigued. How are you feeling about him?
I'm intrigued as well. It'll be interesting to see if they prioritize the third ride or not. I think that's a big thing, or whether he's the experimental car per se, and it'll just be interesting. I think that we could see potentially a playoff appearance, with a win somewhere. But if outside of getting a win, I can't see him being consistent enough to get into the playoffs. But I could see him having a top 20 type finish.
Okay. I mean, he's still young. He kind of reminds me of Ty Gibbs, you know. I was really high on Ty Gibbs last year. It was like, oh, he's going to get his first win. And he just seemed to make too many mistakes when it counted and would just kind of fall out of it. So, in my mind, that's kind of where he's at. Uh, Probably just have a normal rookie year, maybe get lucky. I'm not sure though.
So do you think, if you had to say, do you think that he has a better rookie year than Carson Hocevar had?
Oh man, I thought Carson did pretty good last year. I
Yeah.
don't think he will, honestly. I like saying I like Carson is weird. Like I have mixed opinions on Carson. I'm not the biggest fan. Seeing him intentionally wreck so many people over and over and over again, and then he comes in last year and he does it again. It's like, come on, man. Right when I was starting to like you, you do that.
Mhm.
Uh, I think Carson's talented. I could see Carson getting a win this year. Little far fetched, but it's possible. Herbst, I don't see it unless if it's a fuel mileage or something like that. But with the team he is joining, I mean, we know Bubba's quick at play tracks. Red's got to win at Talladega. He could be there. So I like the top 10 pick. It's like you said, he's finished there before twice. And I mean, what are the odds on it?
Plus 240. That's
240?
on that's on DraftKings, so you might be able to get it a little bit here, a little bit there.
Okay. Actually do have Caesars still open. To do Herbst. Oh God. Don't go to Caesars for it. It's plus 140. So
Wow.
yeah. It's crazy. Some of the guys below him too, like Eric Jones below him and Zane Smith. Zane Smith plus 250. I kind of like that one.
This is updated post qualifying.
I don't believe so. I haven't refreshed it. I'm scared if I do, it'll be
It's
gone.
gonna be gone. Yep.
It's gone. I refreshed it, it's gone. So that was
Oh no.
pre-qualifying. Um Interesting. Okay. Who? What else do I have? Oh, Anthony Alfredo in the beard car. It's just that car always has speed enough to make the race, and then they just sit in the back and bide their time. And after the big one happens, they go. And he's got a top 10 last year in that car. I think he can do it again. We saw Brendan Gaughan get top 10s. We've seen Noah Gregson get top 10s in the car. Why not? Let's go Alfredo, top 10 in the beard car, plus 400. I like that one. I really do. Another one that I've done over the years that I liked and just didn't seem to work out was always Todd Gilliland top 10. And it'd be like, he'd run there all race long. And then with like 3 to go, he'd get wrecked. And it would be like somebody in the third lane and the high lane hits somebody else. And then they just barely clip him every time. It's kind of like Larson betters, man. You know, Larson could be leading stage 1 and win it, 2 win it. And then stage 3, he'll be leading and get taken out or something along those lines. Like, he never finishes one of these plate tracks without getting wrecked. But
I was going to ask you, speaking of Kyle Larson, how are you feeling about him in this race?
Oh, man, he's going to have speed. But again, he just never puts them together. I don't think he's a good plate racer. He's just in a fast car. Everybody always says that plate tracks, he is, and he makes bad decisions sometimes, late blocks, aggressive lane changes, and they just don't work out. Everybody says that anybody can win at a plate track. That's not true. We see it over and over again where you get these guys that just are better. I mean, Dale Earnhardt was better. Blaney is better. Man, I don't even know. Like, Denny Hamlin is good. Bubba Wallace, Eric Jones. You know, there's all these guys that just know how to manipulate the air just right. Logano, Brad Keselowski, you know, Kyle Busch used to. He just doesn't. He's not good in this car. But yeah, Kyle Larson's not one of them. Kyle Larson's fast. You can't tell me he's not. He's just not good at plate tracks.
Yeah, I mean, he has 0 top 3s in the last 3 years at plate races. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. He's only had 2 top 10s in the last 12 races at the 2 super speedways. So I don't like Kyle Larson at all.
Yeah. Out of all the Hendrick cars, I think he's the one that I'm kind of like, yeah, no, not on a super speedway. Bowman, he's one of the guys that just kind of shows up late. He might compete. We saw Byron do it last year. Kind of, I mean, he was just fast. He didn't really do anything special. He was just there. Chase Elliott seems to always have the help that he needs, but is he going to have the speed? He didn't have any speed last year, it felt like. But coming off of winning the Clash, I'm kind of liking Chase. And, you know, I was looking at the future bets on, you know, over under wins, and they had him sitting at, I think, 1.5. And I was like, oh, easy. I'm going over on this one. He's going to get 3 wins this year. And then I looked at the odds and it was like minus 200. I was like, I'm not doing that. But no, I think Chase is going to have a good rebound year, especially coming off that Clash win. I think his confidence is going to be up. He's going to run well. If you ask me if I'm a Chase fan, I'm not. But I think he's going to have a good year. At the same time, I think we're going to see fewer winners this year just because we're just another year into the next gen car. And I think the teams that figured it out are going to have it figured out, and they're just going to get that much better. Well,
yeah, I mean, like last year, you went through it was the first 8 races. 7 of the races came from Gibbs or Hendrick. So
yep.
I'm with you as far as seeing less winners.
Yeah. I will say, I think we see Ford fire off a little faster than we did last year. Cause I mean, they didn't win any races in all 3 series until like week 5 or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think they fire off a little quicker. But I think it's going to be the same guys. Maybe Brad gets one. Buscher's probably going to get one. Obviously, you're Blaney, Logano. Cindric, I'm not sure about. If he steals one at a plate track, maybe. But, yeah. Maybe, I was going to say McDowell, but he's not in a Ford anymore.
No.
So, yeah. I'm interested to see what he does in this Spire car. If it's better, exactly the same, or worse. Because, I don't know, McDowell always made that FRM car It's just better than it was.
Especially in qualifying.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got a great image of him during qualifying at Kansas. He was sitting on the pole and he was just sitting there watching the big board, hands on the side. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. It's like one of his last races in that FRM car. But okay, well, is there anything else you can think of off the top of your head that you're kind of eyeing for bets?
As far as like safer bets go, not as much long shots. I really like Byron, top 10. He's finished in the top 10 in 6 of the last 8 super speedway races. So, I mean, the statistics point towards him getting a top 10. I like Christopher Bell, top 10. And I like Chris Buescher, top 10. All those are, I'm getting them minus 140 for Byron and minus 120 for Bell and Buescher. But I think those are safer bets. I could see 2 of the 3 hitting.
Okay. How are you feeling about Ross Chastain?
Oh man, one of the hardest
Flip a
people to
coin?
predict.
Yeah.
Yep. I really don't know. I mean, you brought up Spire earlier, and I've got this like debate going on internally, like who do I like more, Spire or Trackhouse going into the season? And I think that those 2 teams, like with Spire stepping up, have gotten really close. And I don't know what team's going to perform better this year. But Chastain, I would say, had a disappointing year last year, but he looked good once the playoffs started and he was eliminated. I thought he ran a lot better. So maybe they figured something out.
Yeah. Yeah, when you put those 2 together, at first I want to say Spire, but then it's like, okay, well, SVG's gonna probably pull out one win at one of these road courses, but then they also got Connor Zilic coming up for a road course race with Trackhouse, and it's just like, oh man, I'm really liking Trackhouse all of a sudden. I think it's the last year for Suarez in that ride. I think he's got to advance to at least the top 8 to keep that ride, and I don't see that ever happening. He might steal a win somewhere and make it into the playoffs, but that's as far as he goes. So, yeah, I like Trackhouse. I've always just kind of liked their, I don't know, flair in the sport, like their personality, right? Whereas Spire came in and they were like, we're businessmen. And now all of a sudden they're kind of like building this, huge team out of nothing, getting drivers that are good, like making a move for McDowell, I think is huge for that organization, getting a veteran in there that knows what he's doing and has shown speed. So I don't know. It's going to be an exciting season with some of these teams.
So you said something about SVG. How do you think SVG's season goes outside of the road courses?
Man, I want to say that he's not going to be good, but he just ran top 10 at the Clash, and he was one of the cleanest drivers out there. And watching him in the Xfinity last year, he'd go out and he'd start off, first half of the race, he'd be in the back, and then he'd just start slowly picking his way off towards the front. And it's like he's picking it up quick. And I don't see him winning on an oval, but I could see him being consistently near the top 10, maybe back of the top 10. We'll see, though. I mean, obviously, comparing Xfinity and Cup drivers, not always the best, but I don't know, maybe average of, I'll give him a 16th place finish by the end of the year. Average.
Excluding road courses?
Oh,
Or
no,
that's
that's including it. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm saying average for the whole season. I think he could pull off a win, though. Brazil's going to be interesting. Like, who's going to, I don't know. It's so weird to me. But we got, 6 or 5 road courses, and he came in and won his first race. Granted, it was like the perfect storm with, wet track, brand new track that nobody else had ran on. But he's good. He'll figure it out, and he'll be there at the end. Again, that's another guy that I'm excited to watch this year.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, I don't know, driver changes and new teams, and I don't know. But you mentioned Ricky Stenhouse earlier. I can't get on board with Ricky. The whole split with the I can't remember Doherty leaving the team and stuff like that, and the sponsors leaving, and it's now what Hayek or something racing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He worries me. Uh, he is a good plate track racer. Obviously, he won the 500. Was that 2 years ago? I don't know, man.
Then he
I
won the
just
fall Talladega last year.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's up in the air in my head. Like maybe the team didn't change at all. They just changed names, and he's just as good at play tracks. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it was from my understanding that there's not going to be too much change. It's just more of a rebrand, but that might be sweeping stuff under the rug.
Yeah, I mean they lost their main sponsor, and when you do that, it's a lot of money you lose. And can you continue building the car and paying the people that build the car and stuff like that? It's like I guess it's a wait and see. Uh, I don't know. My mindset on that team is just kind of down right now.
Yeah, it's still weird to me that he's there. I feel like he's more talented than that. Like that's below him.
Yeah, he's just one of those drivers that kind of got screwed over by the downfall of Roush Racing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, the whole Carl thing, and then just the whole team seemed to implode, and he's out of ride. So I don't know. He seems to be happy there though, and that's I guess what matters, right? And he's winning races, so we'll see. I'm just Hayek, or I heard somebody call it the Hawk Tour Racing, and it's just like
Oh,
I don't know,
hey, that might have got him enough money to put into the car if that was the
right?
case.
Right. But we'll see. I just any money on Ricky for me right now is kind of a big no. If I see something different in the duels on tomorrow now, maybe that'll change, but I don't know. It's mixed opinions on it right now, but mostly negative opinions.
So, speaking of negative opinions, are there any top tier drivers that you're really, really down on?
Ooh, top tier drivers I'm down on. See, that's the thing is like the Chase Elliott thing. I've usually been very negative and down on Chase Elliott, and I'm going into the season the opposite, where I'm like, yeah, Chase Elliott. I don't know if you saw the news with NASCAR and the whole FRM 2311 that just broke like 2 hours ago, did you? Where they
Mm-mm.
filed more stuff in court about the injunction and stuff like that. So it's like, man, is this going to hurt Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace and maybe even Herbst? It's just like, I don't know. Starting to get a little worried. I'm a Reddick fan. So it's like, I don't think we're going to get the top four. I think there's just too much going on behind the scenes where they're going to struggle this year. I really hope that's not the case, but I'm a little worried with 2311. And I don't think this is going to hold up, especially with NASCAR doing it 1 hour before qualifying. Like, come on. I mean, top tier, though, not really. I think everybody's kind of, well, Kyle Busch. I'm down on Kyle Busch. He hasn't shown me anything at all since he went to RCR. Like the first couple races, yeah, he looked great, but down after that hasn't been
Well,
good.
once the playoffs started, or right before the playoffs, how many top, like he was competing for wins and it kept seeming like, oh, he's going to make the playoffs. He's going to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kept getting beat out, getting second, third finishes. He kind of I feel like he had a little bit of a resurgence at the end of the year there. It might have been total desperation. I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah. He wanted that streak of wins to keep going, and I think everybody else did too. It's just I don't know. RCR on non-plate tracks is just kind of it's not there unless if you
Yeah.
have
And
Austin Dillon just
yeah.
plowing everybody over for the win.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, Kyle Busch, I'd say that'd be my biggest down.
How about
about you?
Logano? Because it's an odd year.
He'll finish second in the points. It'll be Blaney again. Ugh. I don't know. I like the outlook for Blaney this year. God, I hope Logano doesn't go as far as he did. That's frustrating. But I just want it to be the best driver during the season ends up winning the championship. That's what I want. It's not too much to ask, right? Not this guy that barely squeaks in, was like 18th in points or something like that, ends up winning the championship because he won, a race or two. Ugh. Yeah. Not a fan of the point system.
No. Nope. It's all for the casuals, I think.
It is.
To
The
draw in
NASCAR,
people.
NASCAR wants to draw on the casual fan, and I don't think that's their market. But I did see they're talking about rotating the championship race out of Phoenix, and I'm like, cool, that's awesome.
Yes, that needs to happen.
Yeah. And they didn't make any playoff changes this year, but they said next year they're going to do it. So that's
Honestly,
cool.
I have no problem with it going back to Homestead now that they've changed that track up so much. I think it runs real well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, especially with this car, that was the main problem with Homestead is the previous car didn't run good on the mile and a half. So we go to this one and it's awesome, but they're like, no, we're going to go to Phoenix. What an awful decision. Like, of all tracks. But they spent so much money trying to get Phoenix to be this great place. But I don't know. Like, Phoenix sells out every year. You don't need to have it be the championship race. Whereas Homestead doesn't, but they also don't put money into Homestead. They make it, you got to draw fans in, right? The racing on track at the mile and a halves has been fantastic. Like, we tried to go away and add all these road courses and stuff like that, and then we had a car that's perfect at the mile and a halves. Let's just end it on a mile and a half. That's the bread and butter of NASCAR. I'm all for Homestead. I think at that time of year we could go to Charlotte, the home of NASCAR, where all it's a huge fan base.
Yeah, and it would be a great marketing opportunity. Like
Yeah.
you now, point that as the track. Like it's so weird because NASCAR is the only sport that starts its year with its biggest event. But
Mm-hmm.
if you could then market Charlotte, like you're going home and you have it as the championship race and all, it's like Super Bowl week for NASCAR all over Charlotte because they already have so many routes and everything there. They have the connections to be able to do that. And then you also have the fact that like fans would probably more likely travel to Charlotte because you can go and tour all the facilities. You can go to the Hall of Fame. You can do all these things in Charlotte as a NASCAR fan. I think that would be a great idea to finish your season and market it as equal to the Daytona 500 as far as how big it is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things, like, growing up a NASCAR fan, what I wanted to do when I grew up and was older and could do whatever I wanted to go down to the All-Star race, stay that whole week and go to all the stuff down there, and then go to the Coke 600. And then it's like, oh, no, now we're changing the All-Star race somewhere else, and we're getting rid of that whole, speed week. Oh, they had the pit crew challenge and all that, and that's gone. It's like, man, why would anybody want to go spend that much time? But you make it a playoff race and you have all that stuff and you make all these events and driver interactions and stuff like that. Holy selling point. Like, I'm in. Like, I'll get my ticket right now. But is NASCAR that smart? I mean, what they'll end up doing is they'll probably go like, I don't know, they'll probably do like Coda or something like that for the championship
my
race.
gosh.
Like, what the fuck? And then be like, oh, the fans were saying we wanted to go somewhere else, and this is what we did, and they don't like it. It's like, no shit. Like,
yeah, it's time to start watching Formula One at that point.
yeah, I swear NASCAR just shoots themselves in the foot just so they can prove a point over and over and over again. Like, let's keep reducing the horsepower. Great idea. Ugh. All right, I'm done ranting on that. But no, rotating out of Phoenix, so it's going to be good. And if it's like every year or every other year or something like that, perfect. There's plenty of tracks. I mean, I wish old Atlanta was still there. I don't think you can really do Atlanta as it is now as the championship race, but yeah, no, Homestead, maybe Charlotte. Oh, there's other tracks down south. They're still decently warm in November. I know some people are saying Kansas. As somebody that's in the Midwest in November, it's a coin flip on what the weather's going to be like. It could be snowing that week. So I love Kansas. Great racing, but no. Well, we got Xfinity and trucks. You got anything to add with those? Or any maybe dual bets? No.
I'm not ready for the dual bets yet. I gotta look more into that.
Yeah, I know. With qualifying just ended, it's like I don't even know where everybody's starting and odds. I mean, the duels aren't that exciting anymore. It's usually a team race and just kind of get where you get at this point. Save the car for Sunday. Xfinity, I don't know. Justin Allgaier plus 1100, Taylor Gray plus 2500. Both are in fast equipment, know how to race super speedways. Allgaier's been up there. I don't think he's won one at Daytona, but I know he got robbed of one a couple years ago to Austin Hill. So, yeah, I like those two bets. Trucks, I haven't looked at trucks, honestly. So, if you want truck bets, Xfinity bets, I guess follow us on Twitter. It's at GWC Pod. And then join our Discord if you go to our YouTube. Again, the GWC Pod. It'll be in our description. Go ahead and join that, and we'll post some more there. Got a nice little community growing there, and the bigger it gets, the better, everything gets. Do you got any? Well, yeah, you said futures already, right? I think we talked about.
Yeah,
the
I got
over
a couple over unders. I like Hostvar. I got him at over half. So I mean, one race. I think he might get his first win. I like that. I like Christopher Bell over 3.5 wins.
Ooh,
It's
a high line
personally,
for him.
it is, but I think if we're going off of last year, there was at least 4 races that it was just unfortunate luck, and he had the car to beat, and he won. He already won 3 last year?
Yeah.
So, and there was at least 4 races where he had the car to beat, and I think that he kept getting those pit road speeding penalties. He had an engine failure one of the races, but if he puts it all together, I like him over 3.5.
Yeah, and then you had the Joey Logano fuel mileage race that Christopher Bell was going to win that. And
Yep.
I mean, that was at Vegas, and it's just that could have been the championship there too, because he ends up missing the championship, and he's definitely like I'm watching him for futures, but he's him and Larson are tied right now as the top to win the championship at plus 550. Kind of hoping he waits a couple of weeks to get his first win or really start showing off. So maybe get higher odds on that. Yeah, I don't know. I do like him. Briscoe's another one that I kind of been eyeing at futures. He's at plus 1800. It's a Joe Gibbs car. He's gonna make, at least the round of 12 in my eyes. And with what he just did in qualifying, I'm really liking it a lot more. He's showing he's already faster than he was. So
Yeah. I got Kyle Larson under 5.5. I think that's an easy one. I mean, that if he wins 5, yeah, you got to win 6 races to get that. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, that's a lot of wins. When I was looking earlier, one of the lines that I saw was Byron over 3.5. I was like, man, I really like that. And then I started looking, I was like, maybe not. Like last year, he started off so hot, and then he just stalled out. It's like, I don't know. Larson, though,
Yeah.
that's 6 wins. If anybody can do it, he can, but I'd take the odds at under on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's been the guy, but I think especially with you seeing him racing all off season in different circuits and stuff, I think he's got a real rival now in Bell. As far as I think we're entering the territory where we can maybe debate over the most talented driver right now. I think we're close.
Yeah. The last month with these two guys going at it on the dirt track is been awesome. Like it's back and forth every night. Like, oh, Bell beat Larson, and the next night Larson beat Bell, and it's just it was so good. Yeah, no, I kind of wish Reddick would start going back and doing some dirt stuff too, because I think those 3 going at it all together would be fantastic.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
even Briscoe, I know, was talking about doing stuff with Bell because now that they're teammates and Joe Gibbs gave him permission to go do it. But I don't know. I'm enjoying watching these Cup guys go down and do this other stuff. But yeah, no, Bell's really growing on me. Like 2 years ago, I wasn't that high on Bell. And then I kind of like one of the co-hosts of the podcast was a Bell fan. And he made me go back and kind of watch some of this stuff. And it's like, okay, this Bell kid's not bad. If he can put it together. And then last year, he kind of started putting it together. Yeah, I could see Bell definitely being there.
Yeah, I think it was 4 races he got pit road speeding penalties, so he's got to clean up on some things. But whenever push comes to shove out on the track, like I think the guy's elite.
Yeah. Yep, I 100% agree. We got a lot of talented drivers. It's gonna be a good season as long as everything like plays out as it should. Hopefully, there's no like COVID year or some bullshit. Ugh.
Yeah, COVID-20.
Yeah. But
What, you didn't like the iRacing?
no, like
No, I
the
didn't
thing is,
either.
I was an iRacer, and then all of a sudden we started getting like all these people coming in. It's like I don't like this anymore. But it was fun, like being able to hop on and race Dale Jr. and all these other guys. Garrett Smithley intentionally wrecked me. That was pretty funny. But no, I liked having the Cup racers and that on there. It was really cool to be able to compete against them. But then you got literally everybody just hopping on, and like I swear they were using their keyboard to race or something. And they thought they were the next Dale Jr., William Byron or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, it was awful. But no, just a good, clean year. Hopefully NASCAR cleans up their crap. I mean, again, last year, racing was awesome. And then we hit the playoffs. Well, I shouldn't say the playoffs. We hit the Austin Dillon Richmond race. And it just kind of became a clown show after that. And it was just kept getting worse and worse. And NASCAR's calls, just stop. Just use your head on decisions and stuff like that.
So what'd you think of that Bell Byron decision?
I didn't like it. I think Bell should have advanced because obviously Chevy they had a rolling roadblock. Like if they race the race, Byron's gonna lose 4 positions or something like that, and Bell's easily in. And then I don't know, Bell screwed himself because all he had to do was lift and make the turn, and he's in the race. Instead, he rides the wall and they disqualify him or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know. There's too many games being played there. NASCAR supposedly fixed that problem to where they're going to be able to say, these manufacturer orders because, obviously, Ross Chastain and them weren't Byron's teammate, but they're in a Chevy. So they wanted the Chevy to get in. Just stop. I hate the team orders to begin with and the manufacturer orders. Like it's ruined plate racing where you have to draft with a Chevy. We saw Retzloff last year. He lost his ride because he was not supposed to push a Ford and he pushed a Ford. It's just like, come on. Let people finish the race how they want to finish. Let him. Like, he ended up third place, and they got mad at him. Right? It's just what a joke. Let the guys race. I dislike team orders, manufacturer team orders, all that bullshit. Like, get rid of it. I don't know. At least it's not the days where drivers could get on, other drivers' radios and talk to them and plan stuff. That was even worse in my mind. But yeah, I'm excited. I think it should be a good year. I had some DFS plays for us to go over, but honestly, qualifying really just took those out. I was really high on both the Dillon brothers, and they're both starting. Well, no, they're not, because we do the duels. They might be back in play. I guess tomorrow kind of ruins everything. It's such a weird deal with qualifying. Like, they qualified top 10, but they're not there. Yeah, again, join our Discord. Follow us on Twitter. We'll post stuff. We'll have more bets when it comes down to it, but with the qualifying races tomorrow, there's a lot up in the air.
For sure.
Well, you got anything else?
Not really. Like you said, I think going forward we'll have more, because we can also break down what we said the previous week, how we did and stuff like that. So I think we covered a lot today.
Yeah, it honestly went a lot longer than I thought. That was a decent stream. So make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and catch us next week. We're going to try for Wednesday nights, maybe a little earlier than this, but qualifying was going on, so we pushed it back. Yeah, talk to you next week. See you.
This has been a For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency's Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.